Hey everybody, it's Daunter. If you don't know who I am, I'm a Pokemon YouTuber, a Pokemon card related YouTuber. I do things related to cards. And in my recent videos, I've been putting gameplay in the background. So I decided for my 200th video, why not bring the game to you? Why not just bring the game, bring the game. Well, we're gonna bring the game. So yeah, cool. So in this video, I'm going to be playing a little known game called Risk of Rain 2, one of my personal favorite games of all time. I think this is a fantastic game. I love to play it when I'm bored. I love to play it when I'm doing nothing. And in this video, I'm going to go through the different stages of the game. And as I go through the different stages of the game, if I can even make it that far, if I don't immediately die, I'm going to be talking about some stuff. So I have some talking points written down on my phone, and we're going to get to them. If you can't tell, I'm not feeling too great. Hey, that's okay. That's okay. I had to make something special for the 200th video, and I needed to find that motivation to create videos again, as I haven't really, made a video in, well, like 8 days, so it's been a little bit. Cool, so if you don't know who I am, I'm Daunter. I love making videos. I don't just love making videos, I also love editing my videos. I'm not like a crazy serious editor or anything, and I'm not a crazy serious, like, YouTuber or anything. But, I found my niche. I found my, Pokemon related niche. But, I'm wondering, like, is that, all that I can do, I love Pokemon cards so much. Like, Pokemon cards it's like one of my favorite things in the world. I'm sitting in my room and I have a bunch of Pokemon cards all around me. That's how much I love them. I love them so much. They're a really big part of my life, a really big part of my, like right now, as of right now. But something that's been part of my life way more than Pokemon cards have been are video games. Something that I love, something that obviously a lot of people love. It's not really very uncommon to like video games. I think most people probably do. But this first point that I have here for the first stage is just talking about my channel status. So, going on to my 200th video, I have 631 subs, which is fantastic. I personally was not expecting to get anywhere near this amount of subs by this time, so I'm perfectly happy with where I'm at right now, Like, I can't really complain, nor do I really want to complain, because I have nothing to complain about. I'm happy. What I am not happy with, though, is kind of like my mentality when it comes to creating videos. So, if you don't care about personal stuff, like, if you don't really care about that kind of stuff, I have plenty of videos on my channel. But this is kind of just me talking about how, like, I do love making videos about Pokemon cards, but I also have some trouble, like, motivating myself to create videos sometimes. And that's obviously by no part of Pokemon cards themselves. I think right now there's been a little bit of a lull with, like, the whole Pokemon card collecting scene. I feel like a lot of people are kind of weary, especially when it comes to, like, the scalping. I think that's a pretty big thing in the Pokemon TCG space right now. So that kind of idea has kind of invaded my mind a little bit. Obviously, I still have my, amazing cards that I have plentiful amounts of in my room to thank. Because, during these times, these are the times where I can look back on my, backlog, my collection, organized binders and stuff. Which is fantastic. But, it's just kind of like that the kind of air, right? The feeling in the air that's kind of just like a more like, I don't know, I feel like Pokemon cards is like fantastic. I love artwork. I think I love artwork more than I specifically love Pokemon cards. Like, I think the illustrators themselves are like the main draw for me, because I just love illustrations. So I think for me, I'm more like, I just like the artwork more than I like the, the TCG or whatever. So that's just my take on that. But, like, I think that it's just been kind of hard to motivate myself to create content. Not for any negatively, like, I'm not like struggling or anything. It's just like, I don't know, I haven't really had like that kind of spark. And that's kind of just where I'm at right now. Like, I haven't really like had that kind of spark to not just create. Like, I love to create. Like, I love to create whatever. Like, I love to write, I love to read, I love to, I like to do everything. It's just I haven't really been motivated to kind of create the content that I've been creating. Like, I don't know how to change it up, right? Like, it's kind of hard, right? I just don't really know, like, what I can do to remotivate myself, and like I'm trying to push myself to really like give this a shot. I really want to like you know, really fully go into, you know, doing this at some point in my life. And I think I just need to kind of take that step to just really motivate myself and push myself forward. So this video is kind of just me, like, kind of just taking that first step, you know, like, just kind of going forward. Just uploading a video and seeing how it does. You know, like how, you know, people like it, people don't like it, that's fine. It's just a step. And I don't care if, you know, this gets more or less views than whatever I've been getting recently. I just kind of wanted to get it out there. I have no idea what I'm going to title this video. Probably something related to the 200th video on my channel. But yeah, I just kind of like am trying to figure all that out. So it's just kind of a lot. Now, I do love making videos. I love making videos. I think that making videos is a passion of mine for sure. But I just really need to find like what, you know, what lies in that passion, right? I don't know if that makes sense or if that makes no sense. As we swiftly flow into our next stage, I don't even know if I said this, the title of the game, by the way. This is Risk of Rain 2. It's one of my personal favorite games of all time. And I've been playing it for years now, so I have a lot of experience with it. So if you're like, wow, this guy's really good at this game, you know, that's why. It's because I've been playing this game for a really long time. As we approach the second stage here, also nice, I found the boss immediately. Very, very good. Oh my goodness. Not feeling very well. That's okay. You know, we push forward. Second stage. So, what do I have to say about the new set, the new Pokemon card set? Because I actually do have a lot to say about the new set. This new set, Black Bolt and White Flare, it's actually getting me excited to collect Pokemon cards again, which is fantastic. I'm going to be making a lot of content related to that set. I think I'm going to make more videos about, you know, Black Bolt and White Flare than I have been making videos on, like, the past couple sets for a while now. I love Unova. I love Black and White. You know, they're my favorite. I would say they're my favorite generation. As I grew up, I think the first Pokemon games that I played were, like, Diamond and Pearl. But, Gen 5 was where my heart was at, you know? I just playing through the whole game. I played Black 2 and White, like, I played Black 2 and Pokemon White. So, you know, I love those, you know, the generation, the Pokemon, like, everything about them. So, being able to see them in, like, represented well, like, seriously well represented in the TCG is something that's really exciting for me. You know, so far all the reveals have been nice. We haven't gotten anything too crazy revealed in the past couple of days, which is totally fine. But I'm just really excited to see more from the set, and I hope, like, you know, I hope we see some older artists really, like, pull through, making some great cards, because I feel like an artist like Mitsuhiro Rita, they definitely have gotten some art rares in the Scarlet and Violet era, but they haven't gotten anything like super huge, like a special art rare that's like really incredible, right? And I think they have that potential. It's been oh, nice. It's been fantastic. I don't know what this does. Cool. But I don't, you know, I know that they've been doing some art rares recently, which is cool. I know they did the Watch Roll from, what's it called? Twilight Masquerade, which is a really cool card. And the Crabominable from Stellar Crown, right? So, I really like Mitsuhiro Rita's artwork. I'd love to see something crazy from him. Not just from him, though. There's a lot of other illustrators that I'd love to see get some special art rare appreciation. So, a big one for me is Shinji Kanda. I feel like it's kind of crazy that we haven't gotten a special art rare by Shinji Kanda yet. Have we? Am I tripping or not? I feel like we haven't. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, like, what I'm talking about. I don't know every single illustrator that has done or has not done a card. But, you know, like an artist like Kyoko Umamoto, who's like a super old, like, original artist, surprised that we haven't gotten, like, an art rare or, you know, like a, something like that, you know, like a special art rare from them. I'd really love to see something like that. Or, like, you know, Yukimori. I feel like we haven't seen anything crazy except for that, we had the Apalm and, Paradox Rift, right? That card is really cool. I don't think they have a special art rare yet, though. It'd be really cool, you know? I don't know. I think they have a lot of artists that they still haven't used for special art rares yet, who I'm really looking forward to seeing. And same thing with art rares, you know? You know, obviously, like I mentioned before, the special art rares, I think Kyoko Umamoto definitely deserves one. They've been a part of the, you know, TCG for such a long time, and, you know, and they're such an integral part of it. Same thing with Naoya Kimura. I think those two artists are fantastic, and I really, really love their artwork. So it'd be cool to see some more from them. Sorry if the game is really laggy, by the way. I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's been kind of weird recently. But yeah, it'd be really cool to see some newer cards from some more like legacy artists. I'm about to die. So that's my hope for Black Bolt and White Flare. I think that the set is going to be fantastic regardless. I think people will love it. I will love it. It's going to be one of my favorite sets ever, probably. I'm just happy that every single Gen 5 is getting an art rare. Gen 5 Pokemon is getting an art rare. That is incredible. That is like one of the greatest things I could have heard. Honestly, it's just fantastic. It's great. I have no complaints when it comes to that. It's just so weird. We went from Prismatic Evolutions, a set, it's extremely overhyped, incredibly difficult pull rates, and super hard, like no art rares, very restrictive almost in that way. And I think that that's kind of unfair, right? I think that art rares are a huge part of the Scarlet and Violet era, and they deserve to be in every single set. I think that's pretty easy to ask for. I think that's a pretty understandable thing to want. Obviously, the special art rares in Paldea or what's it called? That one set, Prismatic Evolutions, yeah. I think that obviously the special art rares in that set are phenomenal. I love all of them. Yeah, it would have been nice to see some art rares in that set. So it's really cool that we're seeing an art rare for every single Gen 5 Pokemon in the Gen 5 set. And I really hope that they just keep doing similar stuff to this. I hope we see like bigger set sizes, more special art rare Pokemon, stuff like that. Just more like interesting stuff. I'd love to see them just kind of like really, really go hard for the final part of the Scarlet and Violet era. That's my hope. That's my dream. So moving into Stage 3, I want to remind everyone that my channel has 634 subscribers. I'm trying to get to 750. I don't know if that's possible, but if it is, you could be a subscriber if you're not already. If you are interested in my kind of content and seeing me change, grow, evolve, all that stuff, feel free to subscribe. I'd love to have you. And next, I would say, like, I really have no idea what I'm doing. I think that's the case for a lot of people in life. I think not a lot of people know exactly what they're doing. Obviously, there are a lot of people that do know what they're doing, but there's also a lot of people that don't, right? And I think I'm one of those people where, like, I don't really know exactly what I'm doing. I think that's okay, but I'm just want to ask for advice. Obviously, I think that, like, being a YouTuber, that's one of the main things, is just, like, talking, asking about stuff. That's probably one of my, like, the things that I need to work on the most, right? I think that it's really important to kind of have an audience that is, like, transparent. Like, I want to hear, like, if you guys have any opinions, or if you guys have any, like, wants, like, series that you'd like to see, or, more, like, interesting things for me to do, because I've just been, like, trying to figure it out, right? Like, I think that's a big thing for me right now, is I'm just trying to, like, I just want to know, like, what I gotta do, not have to. I don't have to do anything, but, what would interest me, right? Like, I just want to kind of try to figure that out. So, feedback is a big part of that. I don't know. I think that my channel would probably, benefit from having some kind of, like, feedback system. If people, like, want to share ideas, I think it's really important. I'm totally down to listen to people's ideas, like what they have to say, or what they think about certain content, or how they, that they could evolve on certain content, like how it could change or benefit or, prosper or whatever. So that's that. And I don't really have another talking point for this segment here, but let me just say that I think that Scarlet and Violet is a good era. I think that they are doing a pretty good job with what's going on in the Scarlet and Violet era. Now, I think that now, like, as we are, like, a couple years into the Scarlet and Violet era, people have probably, realized that the era is really good, which is great. I think that, it's good to notice that the era is doing really well, and that the cards in this era are, really special. I feel like, when Scarlet and Violet era came out, nobody really cared about it. I think that's something that people tend to forget, is that, like, literally no one cared about the Scarlet and Violet era when it came out. I feel like it's kind of been more trendy to like it, but obviously I've liked it from the start. I think that the Scarlet and Violet era is probably one of the better eras in the entire Pokemon TCG. The one thing I will always hate on, in the entire Scarlet and Violet era are the full art Pokemon. I think the full art Pokemon look really bad, honestly. I think that teal outline is actually kind of atrocious. I'd love to see them change that to something else, right? Like gold or silver or whatever. Like, honestly, anything else. Other than that, though, the art rares have been fantastic. Really love seeing those kind of introduced into sets and kind of prominent in sets. I think that's really, really cool. And, very unique, obviously, as we haven't had an era that's primarily focused on art rares. We barely had an era that was primarily focused on all arts either, because the Sun and Moon era, the all arts were like in the latter, very latter, like the, quarter, like second to last quarter. And then in the Sword and Shield era, all arts weren't introduced until like the halfway point. So we've been getting all arts since the start in the Scarlet and Violet era, which is cool. That is really cool, and I think that's something that I really appreciate. I think there's a lot of good things to like about the Scarlet and Violet era. Obviously, there's probably some things to dislike, such as, those full arts that I was talking about, as well as, the prismatic evolutions, pull rates and stuff. Just pull rates in general, I feel like we started off so strong with really good pull rates, and we kind of just took a nosedive at near the end here. We're kind of back to like near Sword and Shield pull rates. I think that they're still way easier to pull than Sword and Shield all arts, but I feel like we're kind of like trending towards that direction. So a set like Prismatic is just like really hard to open because there's like 30 all arts in the set, and the pull rates are the same as Surging Sparks. So it's kind of like iffy. I feel like that's kind of like an iffy thing. I don't know, some small things that need to be, like, I think would be cool to be ironed out going forward. There's obviously only so much that the Pokemon Company can, realistically do. But I would just really like to see some of those, like, smaller improvements, such as, like, better full arts. And I know that we're getting an era, like, dedicated to the Mega Pokemon. Bro, if the Mega Pokemon have, like, bad full arts, I'm gonna be kind of upset, because I feel like that was such a big part of the X and Y era, was like those X and Y full arts that always look so great. Like, they always look fantastic. So it would be really disappointing to see that, like, they're not as good as they used to be. That'd be just kind of strange, right? I would really love to see, like, some better borders, maybe some more texture. And that's something that I actually really appreciate about Black Bolt and White Flare's new all arts that they revealed, or not all arts, the black and white, like, full art cards. The BWR rarity cards, I think those are really cool, because it looks like they have a lot of great texture on them. I think that's something that's, like, really, I don't know, it's really cool, honestly. Cool to see that we're getting more texture, I feel like, I really hope there's more going forward for everything. Cool. So, on the note here, it says talking about personal passions, but I don't really have anything to talk about when it comes to that, so I guess that's kind of a moot point. What else can I talk about related to Pokemon cards? Pokemon cards are great. I think you probably realize that. I think everybody probably realizes that. I think Pokemon cards are pretty widely loved by everybody. But actually, yeah, no, it's not a moot point. So I think that, like, for me right now, Pokemon cards have really taken a back seat in my life. Obviously, they're such a big part of this channel, and I'm not going to change that. I don't think that, I don't think it's reasonable for me to, like, completely change the the whole idea of the channel. I think that it's totally fair for it to be, like, strictly, or, like, relatively strictly a Pokemon channel. But I've been really into, well, I mean, I had it in a previous video. I've been really into, Gunpla, which is, like, they're Gundam plastic models. Gundam, you don't know what it is. It's an anime, many different series, but the plastic models are kind of like, you kind of build them yourself, kind of like Legos. They're really cool. They're relatively, inexpensive, and they take a long time for me to build. So I think that's, like, one of the main draws, is that it's just very nice and time consuming. Like, when I want to turn my brain off and do something, I could just do that for a while. So I think that's kind of like a benefit for me. So that's where a lot of my time, oh my god, dude, jeez, wow. So that's where a lot of my time has been going. I mean, yeah, it's been going mainly towards that, not really towards Pokemon cards. But I do have some cool news. I was actually able to score some Journey Together packs at my Pokemon vending machine nearby my house. So that's really cool. I think that it's really cool to see that they're really trying with the Pokemon vending machines to make them a little bit more accessible for everybody. And I think that that's something that's, like, really troubling, is that, like, Pokemon cards are pretty inaccessible, I feel like, for the most part right now, for the average person. Unless you got some of that Black Bolt or White Flare. I feel like people were actually able to get some ETBs, which is really cool. If you got one, that's great. I'm really happy for you. I wasn't able to pick one up because I just wasn't, I wasn't available at the time. I was at work when they dropped, so that kind of sucked. But that's okay. There's always going to be another drop, right? And that's kind of been my mentality with the whole Pokemon-related things. It's just like, there's always going to be more Pokemon cards. If this set, I'm not able to get any of this set, well, there's always going to be another set, right? I think that's kind of more my mentality, instead of, like, what I was doing with the beginning of the Scarlet and Violet era, where it was kind of just like, I gotta get everything, I gotta collect all the sets, I gotta, like, try as hard as I can. Ended up spending way too much money, and it wasn't really worth it. Though, I do love Pokemon cards, right? I want to collect every set. I think that'd be great. It's just truly unrealistic. I think it's unrealistic for anybody to have their expectation to like collect every single set in existence. You know, there's just way too many of them. I think that's just kind of like impossible. And that's how I've been feeling with my Gundam model kits too, is that like I'm not going to be able to collect all of them. There's like thousands and thousands of them. So I'm not going to try to. That's why it's nice like a reset, you know? Pokemon cards, I've collected so many of them, I've tried to collect them all, right? That's not, oh, Perforator, cool. You know, I can't collect them all. I can't collect every Pokemon card that I get my hands on. I can't collect every Gundam model kit that I get my hands on. That's not really like what I want to do, right? It's not healthy. It's not like financially responsible. It just doesn't make sense, right? And that's kind of like that. That's just kind of that. I just think it doesn't really make sense financially. It doesn't really make sense like mentality-wise. So it's been nice collecting the model kits, right? Because it's just kind of like a fresh start, and I can just like worry about, you know, getting one or two every now and again, and then just building them for a couple hours, respecting them on my shelf, and just like leaving it at that. For Pokemon cards, you know, I've got like 11 or 12 binders filled with Pokemon cards, you know, different sets, trying to collect stuff, and it just became a little bit too much. You know, sometimes I feel like when it comes to especially this hobby, it's just like less is more, right? Like, you know, you can collect 1,000,000 cards. You can have $1 billion worth of Pokemon cards. But you know what is even your favorite card at that point? There's so many to choose from. That's why, me personally, my favorite Pokemon is Deoxys. So I have a Deoxys collection. I've tried to collect as many Deoxys printings as I can. I think that's totally fine. It's not like I'm trying to collect every single Gen 3 Pokemon card, every single Pokemon from Gen 3, every single one of their cards, you know? Just Deoxys, right? I think and then I can like look at the collection, because there's only what, like, you know, 70 cards from Deoxys, maybe a little bit more. And I can just like look at every individual one in my nice little portfolio and just be like, oh, these are really cool, and like, you know, less is more in that sense, right? I have one Pokemon as my favorite Pokemon, and I'm collecting as many of them as I can. And I think that's kind of like the mentality I'm going with the Gundams, is just like, I can't collect all of them because there's so many of them, so I'm only going to collect, you know, as many as I can, right? Only a couple at a time. So that's kind of how I feel about that. As we reach the 5th stage, I don't know. Oh man, I can't really laugh too hard because I'm not feeling great. I literally wrote in the note, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Cool. Let's see. What else can I talk about as we try to complete this stage? I'm going to try to go a little bit faster so you guys don't have to waste your time on me. Oh, that's funny. Cool. So what else can I even talk about, right? I think that there's so much to love about everything, right? Like, about, like, you know, hobbies. I think hobbies are great. Obviously, I think hobbies are great. I'm a hobby channel. And I think that everybody should have a hobby. I think that it's great, you know? Express yourself creatively. I'm gonna die. It's totally cool to express yourself creatively, and I think that having a hobby is a great part of that. So if you don't collect Pokemon cards, or you don't even have a hobby, which is like, come on, I feel like most people probably have a hobby now. But you know, if you don't have a hobby, you know, you're thinking of picking one up, like you're like, oh, I don't know, Pokemon cards seem kind of inaccessible right now. Yes, to some extent they are, but I feel like there's still a lot of great deals to be found, and a lot of, you know, cards to be collected, right? There's so many, you know, thousands and thousands of Pokemon cards that you could collect. You know, how, you know, like, you could, you know, be collecting for your whole life, you know, for years and years and years, and still have more stuff to collect. Just because there's always going to be more. Wow, this is a sucky stage. Yeah, there'll always be more, so I think that that's something that people need to really understand, is that, like, you never really have to, like, think about the end, right? There is no end if you're collecting Pokemon cards, unless you choose your own end, right? Like, if you have your collection, you complete your collection, and you're happy with it, then that can be your end, and you're done with the hobby. You can move on to something else, and there's, you know, there's no hard rules on that kind of stuff. You could collect for a year, you could collect for 10 years, you could collect for your whole life. You know, it's really up to you. People do that, you know? People still have their collections from when they're children, and they don't ever stop, and that's totally fine. People are totally, you know, justified to do all that. And I think that that's totally cool. Or people, you know, pop in for a year, you know, they get their collection, or they don't, you know, or they, like, just move on, and that's totally fine, too. But my message to people who want to try out a hobby, try out something new, maybe, is just go for it, you know? See how long you last, really. You know, see if you like it, see if you don't, and if you don't like it, then you can move on. Nobody's pressuring you to, like, do something you don't want to do. I think that's something that I've learned, is that, like, there's no pressure other than time, right? You know, cards will wane, cards will... I'm dead. Okay, that's fine. We can talk on the main menu for a little bit. Cards will wane, you know, cards will be more expensive, cards will be less expensive. That's just how it is. And there's nothing you can do to control that, really. But, you know, you could collect what you want to collect. You know, I love vintage. I love black and white. I love, you know, diamond and pearl. I love platinum. I love heart gold and soul silver. I love EX era. Love EX era. You know, I love Neo. I love Skyrage, Aquapolis, Expedition. There's so many sets. You know, even X and Y. I love X and Y. I know it's not really vintage, but I love X and Y. There's just so much to love. There's so much stuff to collect. You know, but find your passion. You know, find what you love to collect, what you love to buy, what you love to sell. But whatever. You know, just find your passion. If you find your passion, then you'll be happy. That's all. 200 videos. Isn't that crazy? I'm glad that there are so many of you that have joined me along for the journey. I lost a subscriber today. I was kind of sad about that. I was down to 631. I was like, why'd you go? You know? No, I'm just kidding. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's kind of like a weird video, gameplay, right? But I was talking. You know, I feel like I was, you know, being pretty entertaining. So I hope you guys enjoy this weird, strange video. I hope you guys have a great day. And I hope you guys like the video, comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel. If you had 25 minutes, 26, 27, whatever, I don't know how long the video is. If you had that much time to watch the video, and you didn't like it, I mean, you probably just had me on in the background. That's fine. But regardless, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.